Tuesday, September 19th. Welcome to the Plant-Based Morning Show, presented as always by by Compliment, the brand whose website is unfortunately lovecompliment.com. Couldn't get the original domain name, single word, not easy to get. Even for a long word like compliment, even for a word that has an alternate spelling, just too late. Anyway, we got a fun show today. It feels like fall to me. We'll add Doug here on Instagram. We'll see what kind of, I don't know if it's an equinox or if it's a solstice when it's not summer or winter, but it's a fall or spring. Which one that is, we'll see which version of the ironic party Doug will be going to on, I guess, his Thirsty Thursday. All right, there he is. Doug, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Matt?
Good. Can you answer the question for us?
I think it's fall equinox.
Okay. Have you gotten invited to an equinox party?
Yes.
Yes. Knew it. Great. What goes on at that? Like hay rides and things like that?
More like fall beers and fall flavors and foods and campfires and not campfire, fire pits and just fall-y type thing. Lots of flannel.
Right. Of course.
Lots of like fleece blankets, because it's outside. So yeah.
Okay.
That's your fall equinox party.
There actually is one this year, or do you mean in the past you've been invited to that?
Oh, I've been to several, and there is one this year. I'm not positive that
there really is. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I was kind of taking a guess there, but
no, it's a thing. Actually, the fall equinox party is the one I prefer over the.
Oh, that's the Super Bowl. That's the big one.
I mean, because it's like, and this week it just happens. This week it got cold, not cold, but cooler. My run this morning was 50 degrees or something.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. You know what? I think the equinoxes are probably better than the solstices because by December 21st, everyone's already sick of winter, and it's no surprise that it's now winter. Summertime, same way, right? Everyone's already too hot by the time it's whatever, June 21st. I don't know. But these spring and falls, it's sort of a welcome change that happens. So I understand why you'd want to celebrate those. But it does feel like fall. I watched a little football last night. I actually considered for a second going to the Monday Night Football game that was here in Charlotte. It was a 7:15 game, nice early time, but I didn't go. I ended up not because soccer practice prevented it. I almost did. Tickets were like $38, and I could have gone. And I still haven't been to a Panthers game, so I kind of wish I could have done that, but I didn't. And they lost anyway. But yeah, feels fall-like. The weather certainly feels fall-like now.
It does. It definitely does. You know who else celebrated the fall equinox?
No. Who?
The Romans.
Oh, yeah?
Do you know about the whole Roman Empire?
I just saw this on Morning Brew, and I didn't get it at all. Like their preface was that it's a thing on social media now for women to ask men how often they think about the Roman Empire.
Yeah. I think it's just this viral thing. I don't know how it started, but apparently men think about the Roman Empire more than you would think, more than I would think, because I very rarely think about the Roman Empire. But if you just like went around and asked random people, we were out to dinner the other night, and it came up, and one of the people we were asked we were with asked the table next to us that had a bunch of guys. And a lot of them think about the Roman Empire way more like almost every day or like a couple times a week, which blows my mind because it's probably once every 3 or 4 months for me.
Yeah,
I don't know. How about you?
Funny. I didn't know about this trend at all. Like I said, and I saw this thing said the Morning Brew writers said it's a trend, and they said for our money or from our perspective, it's almost never. And I thought that's funny. I think about it, fairly recently. I mean, fairly often. And I thought maybe it's only a little bit recently because I had an Italy trip, and no, I don't know. But I also I read Stoicism kind of books sometimes, and a lot of that is from that era. So I find a lot to imagine what life would have been like then. So I put myself in the couple times a week category.
A couple times a week. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild. And apparently, according to this trend, and who knows how true this is, but according to the trend, women think about it way less than men do. So kind of a
And so what's the whole like, why do women go around asking men this? Is it like a
Well,
dating
like,
thing?
I think it came up as like a part on like, it just kind of came up and guys were like, oh yeah, I think about it all the time. And then they're
Uh-huh.
like, how widespread is this? And apparently it's very widespread.
Funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a certain fascination to it that I think, just because it was in many ways so similar to our own way of thinking, but also, and in some ways better, some ways worse. I don't know. It's just sort of interesting to think about.
yeah, it is, I guess. I don't know. It just never comes up for me, really. But
Okay. And they did celebrate equinoxes.
yeah, I just
Sure
Googled it because I wanted to ask you about the Roman Empire.
Ah.
So apparently they do. I was wondering if they like what the history of it is, but I wasn't able to figure that out. The history of the equinox.
Yeah, right.
In my 10 seconds of Googling here.
Could be an astrological kind of.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. All right. Good. So you went, I heard already, to the camp.
Yes.
Rented the camp
went to
out
summer camp.
for a week, or for a week, for a day.
For an afternoon, yeah.
Spend the night there, or you just
No, it's just for an afternoon.
Okay.
But yeah, I did the actually it was like maybe top 5 days I've had, top 2 days that I've had in a really long time. Went for a long run out outside of Brevard on the course of 100K I have coming up with a friend, and it was just like, it felt like a really good long run adventure. Felt just great. And then spent the afternoon out at this camp, swimming in the lake, jumping off. They have a 10-foot diving board and a super long water slide that you literally go airborne, not just at the end, but like mid ride, it drops off and you get airborne on it. It's just super fun. I don't know. It just like brings out all the like kid playfulness in me, and had just a really good time.
Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Believe it or not,
no brain eating amoebas either.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that is a problem with the lakes on the East Coast. But I can relate. I know the feeling every now and then. Recently, not that much. I went to Disney World last year. When I was in Sweden this year, we went to an amusement park. And when I get on a roller coaster, sometimes you just giggle like a kid when you go over little bumps and you catch some air in your seat and all that. And it's a good feeling that we don't get too much as adults. So I can relate. I like that. Well, good. I'm glad. And everybody was safe. No lake alcohol accidents or alcohol related boating, anything like that.
No. Everybody was good, safe, just fun time had by all. Oh,
good.
I had my first crunch wrap, maybe ever, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Go black beans,
black bean fresco style. After the run, we were on our way back, and I realized I didn't bring any food.
Oh yeah. Post run Taco Bell. I used to love a post run Taco Bell.
So good, man. I was very impressed. I came home and told Katie that Taco Bell is going to be our new road stop.
It should. Yeah, it should be, and it's good for 3 or 4 stops to be able to get something mostly different every time, and then maybe you'll get sick of it, but it's a good place, I think.
Yeah.
Good.
How about you, Matt? How was your weekend?
It was good. Holden went away for a Nashville soccer game with the team, so kind of low key compared to other weekends. But cooked some food. We're doing back on the slow carb diet again. Having gotten off of that during the summer travel. But both Aaron and I both really enjoyed being on it, and we save so much money on food. That's my favorite part of it. It's like I can go to the grocery store and buy food for the week, and it costs like $100 instead of $400 or whatever. So it just because it limits us to like suddenly we stop buying any kind of exotic foods or random jar or whatever tube of something, pesto or tomato, something that that might cost $6 that we don't need and don't. So like you just buy beans and vegetables basically, and I don't know, it's just very simple. So that's been good. But anyway,
so the whole family's on it, or just you and Aaron? Or?
No, the kids eat sort of that, but then we usually add a whole grain to their meal. But then Holden needs his own like alternate thing because he can't really doesn't like eating beans still. So that's a little bit challenging, but it's not. I mean, we did that anyway with our regular life before this diet. So, so it's actually been really good. So that's a good thing. And then you get the weekend, you get the free day or cheat day or whatever you want to call it. So we had that on Saturday, and like we're kind of still easing into the plan. So we also eased into cheat day. We didn't go crazy, but I've never made cacio e pepe pasta. You know that pasta, Doug?
No clue.
It's one of the 4 like traditional famous Roman pastas. Speaking of the Roman Empire, there you go.
And how do you spell it?
CACIO space E space PEPE.
Okay.
Cacio e pepe. So cacio means cheese. I don't really know why, because formaggio means cheese in Italian. So I'm not sure what cacio actually is.
Cacio e pepe. It
exactly.
looks like what's the sauce?
It's just cheese. So the simple traditional actual non-vegan version is pasta, pecorino romano, and black pepper. That's all you have. You got to make a vegan cheesy sauce. And the only one I've ever had before this, well, I'm going to name drop here. Miyoko made one in Italy when we were there in, 2014.
Ooh,
on this
when
vegan...
you went to Italy. Miyoko.
Exactly. We had to make, she made this. She brought over some of her cheeses that her special private stock of aged. I don't know how she even got them across the border or in the plane, but she did. And she brought enough to make it for 20 people. And this is when Miyoko was just becoming Miyoko in terms of getting her cheeses in the Whole Foods. It's she wasn't in Whole Foods yet, but she was becoming known more than just a few cookbooks. She was starting to be world famous. But anyway, so she brought this and made cacio e pepe out of her cheese, which just like that one ingredient melted with pepper and pasta. But so anyway, I made a cashew version. I googled it. I forget who it was from. I think it was from. I don't know where it's from, because it was a vegan version. Cashews soaked and blended in normal way, a large amount of soy miso or white miso. Usually recipes called for a teaspoon of it to add a little umami richness.
Yeah.
This one called for 2 tablespoons of it to go with a cup of cashew. So a very significant amount, and it really was good. And then a ton of black pepper, and made fresh pasta with it. A shape called peachy, which is very simple. They're just little fat worms kind of thing. So simple one to make. And had that, and it was a really nice, good dish. And I never had that meal before, because I always thought it would just be too hard to make in a vegan fashion.
Yeah, that sounds delicious. I like the simplicity of it. It
was
great.
And black pepper, I don't consider myself a black pepper fan. It's just I put it on things because I like it and it's healthy for you. But this sauce depends on a ton of it, and the flavor comes through, and it just I found myself really liking black pepper all of a sudden. So that was nice.
Wow, very cool. Hey, interesting little side note here. After last week, we talked about how main news outlets and main recipe places don't cater to the vegan diet as much as they should, or as this article thought they should. I Google vegan cacio e pepe recipe, and New York Times is the first one to come up, followed by Bon Appetit. Neither of those are vegan.
Right. You're right. Yeah, I found exactly the same surprise when I Googled this weekend that those 2 came up, and I thought that's funny that they would have that. It just seems like an odd thing to make a vegan version of for the mainstream. So Bon Appetit then is the one that I actually used. I don't know why I didn't consider New York Times, but didn't. Anyway, make that. You know what else I made 2 nights ago? Plant-Based News has a Spanish white wine lentils recipe. And I made that, and it was really good. It was surprisingly good, because we don't really eat lentils very much. I know you do fairly often in your lentil aroni from Isa Does It, but we don't. I don't know. We had these bags of lentils sitting in our pantry for years. We just don't eat lentils. I don't know why. I know they're super healthy, and they're always pretty good when I make them. But anyway, Plant-Based News. I don't know where I found it or how, but they have a recipe, and it was great. It was really a delicious use of lentils. Use that smoked paprika, Doug, that you have sitting in your pantry for a few years now, for a year now.
About as frequently as your lentils.
Yeah. Well, here's a good use for it. The recipe is from Viva Recipe Club or something. Viva. Well, I don't have it in front of me, unfortunately. I must say the recipe was delicious. So great job, Plant-Based News, for reposting that one. The actual repost of the recipe, they forgot the last 3 steps that were in the original version of the recipe, and they forgot some ingredients too. So the execution of the reposting could have been better. But I clicked over to the original from their site, and it was fine then. So just if you do make it, and you should, go to their site, but then also click over to the original.
Cool. I like it.
All right. Good.
Plant-Based News with the recipes.
That's right. Okay, good. So I don't think I have any more than that intro wise. Doug, you anything else? Should we jump into our weather report?
Ooh, let's do it.
Okay.
The weather report.
All right, I'm having a little tech issue here with the sound machine because my daughter, she takes this computer and watches Netflix shows on it, Victorious or whatever it is she watches, and now it's throwing off error messages on my sound machine page.
Oh no!
Oh man, I'm gonna have to talk to her later about this. So we have no sound today, with no music. The page is loading, but I'm getting an error message.
Sabotaging. She was our number one fan at first, and now look at her. She's sabotaging the show.
Yeah. All right. I got one more attempt here of a refresh of the page. Hopefully it'll work. I think
while we're waiting for everyone that's listening live. Oh wait, never mind.
No, what do you got? Do your thing. It's breaking news.
I was gonna ask how many of the guys here think about the Roman Empire.
There it is. We didn't say hi to everybody. So hello to people who have commented. Not too many today, which is okay. Kate, aka Rivercat, Mr. Jeffrey, Jessica Goodenough, who I haven't seen in a while, says she might start running again if Taco Bell is involved.
Oh,
yeah. Very early on in my dating of Aaron, we were running together. It was one of the things we bonded over. And after the stop, I was like, "You got to go to Taco Bell." And back then, it was a grilled chicken wrap, something. I don't know what it was. But I said, "This is like the best post-run food." And I used to love it, and she hated it. That was the worst thing to eat after a run, just all that greasy stuff. And I kind of understand why. But anyway, it was good. All right, to the real news here. I think I forgot a few people. I forgot Dale Stevens and Phyllis Hauser and Mr. Jeffrey. Stephen Dunn's here too. And Roman Empire does not cross his mind often either. That's so surprising to me. I figured Stephen, being over there in Europe, would think about it all the time. Maybe Europeans don't really think about it that much because it's like they're around ancient stuff all the time. Yeah, so not that big a deal. All right,
Carmen Petty,
and Marie. D1 to Know Adventure Coach. People just chiming in now to get their name mentioned. Now that we started.
Hey everybody, welcome. All right,
here we go.
Let's get to that weather report.
Okay, from my new favorite site, fooddive.com, cultivated meat company Upside Foods has selected Greater Chicago for their first large-scale production plant, 187,000 square feet. They're calling it Rubicon, which sounds, I don't know what that means. I've heard it before. Odd to name your thing like that. It sounds like a ship or something, or a spaceship. Anyway, they named their plant that. Hold on, lost news while I was Googling Rubicon. Okay, it's located in Glenview, Illinois. Exclusively cultivated chicken. They're not doing anything else, although they have acquired a company called Cultured Decadence, which is a cultivated seafood company based in Wisconsin. So I didn't know that place existed. I didn't know there was a cultured seafood company in the U.S. Certainly, they're not producing it for people to consume yet. But anyway, so they did that, and they're saying 100,000 liter capacity, which I don't really understand how we're measuring capacity yet in cultivated meat world. Maybe that's how big, right? I have no idea. Or is that literally how many liters can fit into their bioreactors at once? I don't know. I would think they could make much more than 100,000 per year if this is 187,000 square foot plant. Because I don't know. I would imagine a swimming pool is 100,000 liters. I don't really know. That doesn't sound like that much. But if you do that every 2 weeks, then maybe we're talking. So there you go. That's still happening. Cultivated meat, very much happening, even though we haven't heard that much about it recently as far as people eating it in the restaurants and things.
Jessica Goodenough says that the Rubicon is the river Caesar crossed when marching on to Rome.
Look at that. Yeah, I have heard of crossing the Rubicon. There you go. Steven says.
Oh, that's hilarious.
It's a phrase for a big undertaking. Okay, yeah, I googled it and it said something about a big victory or something. Yeah, the act of winning a game against an opponent. Oh no, this is it has a very specific definition in a game called Piquet, which I don't even know what that is, or Piquet. Anyway, if you win against an opponent whose total score is less than 100, who knows? That's a Rubicon. Doesn't matter. It's a shallow river in northeastern Italy. That's what's more important. Okay, back to our weather report. Carnival Cruise Line. They didn't do any cruising, I don't think, in the Roman Empire, at least not of this variety. They're debuting new vegan menus that have been aboard the Carnival Freedom, which I, Doug, have ridden on before, have cruised on.
Oh,
I think it was early on in dating Aaron. We went on a cruise, 3-day weekend, and it was Carnival Freedom. Not Miyoko, just me and Aaron, just early on, pre-vegan. So this would not have been interesting to me then, but now the new menus will be available fleet-wide through the end of the year. So that's not very long. I guess it's sort of a trial period, but they're going to have appetizers, entrees, and desserts made entirely of vegan ingredients. Some of the new options for appetizers, you can get Hawaiian salmon poke featuring plant-based salmon, not 3D printed, but foreshadowing future news in this very report. Stuffed mushrooms, Doug, year of the mushrooms. Spaghetti carbonara. That's one of the other 4 classic Roman pastas is spaghetti carbonara. Can't really eat that very much because it has egg on it, so you can't make a vegan version. I mean, they put a raw egg onto the hot pasta and sort of cook it in that way. So I don't know how they're making a vegan version. They're obviously skipping that. Entrees, they got grilled tofu steak covered in honey barbecue sauce. No mention of honey not being vegan there. I hope they didn't botch that and forget honey. Baked vegetable au gratin, sprinkled with melted plant-based cheeses. Eggplant cutlet a la Parmigiana, covered with vegan mozzarella. And finally, desserts, key lime velvet cake, Dutch double chocolate pave, and cappuccino pâte de crème. Make you want to go on a cruise, Doug, instead of whatever adventure you had planned?
I've never been on a cruise. And I've had little interest in a cruise until now with kids. I'm like starting to think that maybe that could be a fun way to do something, because they would just probably have a really good time on the cruise ship.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yep.
Still, but this would make it easier. I have to say, this would make it a lot more appealing to think that, because part of the appeal of the cruise is like all you can eat buffets and you get like all that stuff. And so if there was a vegan menu at the cafeteria there, then that could be good.
Yeah, I think that's the right logic. I hate to waste a vacation on a cruise because you're not going to see anything. And I'm talking about these big cruises. I'm sure there are better ones where it's like 300 people on the boat instead of 3,000. Yeah. And you get to go maybe get more interesting ports. But like the port stops, they're never good. It's in a bad area. It's depressing. You might as well just stay on the boat for the most part. And that's, if you're okay with that kind of trip, then that's exactly what it is. It's like an all-inclusive kind of resort where you just go, the kids get on the water slides, there's games, there's bingo, there's all that. It's for that. I think it's a nice thing. You get to be on the boat, you get to see the water, but you hate to waste a vacation on a cruise. That's the main problem.
Right.
But I think your logic is sound there. Although I guess you can't really get the whole like vegan or the whole buffet idea. Like that's part of the fun. Just because these are served at meal times doesn't mean that you're going to have all these vegan options during like 24 hours of buffet. But maybe they have some things now. I don't really know. I've only been on the holistic holiday at sea recently, and that one, of course, has vegan pizza all the time and all that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd still be a good time. It'd actually make for a healthier cruise. Then you can't go get pizza at all hours.
Or ice cream.
Yeah, you get fruit or something if you're going to go off hours. All right. I promised it was coming, Doug. Your Halloween costume last year, famous Halloween costume now. The 3D printed vegan salmon. You probably the first person and only person ever to dress up as that for Halloween. Only now can it finally be found on grocery store shelves. We talked about a lot of things last year that were like in the pipeline. Sounded very futuristic, but it's actually happening now. It's in Austrian supermarkets. It's called The Filet, inspired by salmon. It's made by Revo Foods, who we have talked about several times with, I think, plant-based seafood specifically. This is literally 3D printed plant-based salmon made from mycoprotein that they make into some kind of paste ink that works with the 3D printer. They make the salmon fillets. They're supposedly flaky and juicy flaky and have juicy fibers, just like an animal-based fish. It has a Nutri-Score of A. That's Europe's most popular front-of-packet food labeling system, and that's thanks to its high protein and omega-3 content. Still less protein than a typical salmon, same amount of normal salmon, because it has 9.5 grams per 100 grams. I don't know how that compares, but it's less. And here's the thing. You can order it beginning October 1st from their online shop. 130-gram box would be €6.99. So that's probably around $6. No, that's probably around $8. However, the Fisher's product is currently only available in Germany and Austria. So I don't know if that means you can order it to be shipped anywhere, or you can only ship to those places. I'm not sure, but I would almost order this if it wasn't for having to pay for it to be shipped across the sea.
Yes.
But I'd be curious to try this. I don't think I've ever had a 3D printed food of any kind.
Yeah, of any kind, right? Yeah.
So
I would definitely, if I saw this available, I would go out of my way to get this, but probably not ship it across the
right
across the ocean.
Yeah. For as much as I'm not really that into plant-based meat these days, I still eat plenty of it. I'm just feel less good about it. Mycelium is one that I think is pretty good. I think that's not too far from the whole healthy food ingredient. I'm sure to make it into a 3D printer ink, they had to add some things that are not so wholesome. But I don't know. I would definitely be curious to try a 3D printed salmon. I'd just like to see if the 3D printer works to get the texture right. Then I'd be very intrigued, impressed if they did.
Yep.
All right, let's continue with this weather report, and then we'll get to some audience stuff. All right, supposedly I couldn't find any after the fact news coverage of this event, so I'm not even sure that it went down. Maybe someone in New York could tell us. Man, the sound machine is so slow today. There we go. Light show powered by 1,000 drones supposedly happened against the backdrop of New York City skyline on September 15th and 16th. I think that would have been, I don't know, Friday and Saturday. It's called Look Up NYC. That's the name of the event. It's organized by Eat Differently, which is the company or the organization that did those billboards out in, I think, San Diego or LA that were like, they kind of looked like Steve Jobs, or they had Steve Jobs, they had Einstein, they had all these different things. Looked like an Apple campaign. Their font looks like an Apple campaign. And their name is called Eat Differently, whereas Apple's back in the day was Think Different. So anyway, they did this thing. I saw a picture of, I don't know if it was a simulated thing, what it was supposed to be, but it looked pretty cool. They had like a planet Earth made by these 1,000 drones up in the sky. And I've heard these drone shows are good. Have you seen a drone show, Doug?
I have not seen a drone show. But I'm throwing up a YouTube clip of it right now.
Oh, so it happened for real?
It did happen. Wow, look at that.
See that? It looks pretty good.
Ooh, a little tiger. Leopard.
All right.
Yeah.
For those listening, no, I mean, this is good. I wish it wasn't making sound, but yeah, I mean, pretty good things. Like pictures look like tigers, and the thing I saw was a picture of the Earth, and it's kind of impressive. I could imagine one drone show would be nice to see, and then after that, you're over drone shows. Whereas fireworks, terrible for animals. So I'm glad drone shows exist. The fireworks, at least, they bring somehow the variety, or maybe it's the analog nature of them that is exciting to watch. But for the record, I would love it if they replaced all fireworks shows with drone shows. I really have become sensitive to that recently. Just the fact that the animals leave their habitats for weeks because they're terrified. So bad thing, those fireworks shows. Anyway, that supposedly happened. It was to advocate for plant-based diet. I don't know if we said that. I'm not sure how they drove home the message, because showing me a cheetah up in the sky wouldn't necessarily say, oh, I got to go plant-based. But maybe they had text or something with it that would explain that. So yeah, kind of cool. Glad it happened. I couldn't find any articles after the fact, and I was thinking maybe it didn't.
Yep, it happened.
Good.
There's a big climate summit right now, UN Climate Summit happening in New York City. I thought it was associated with that when I first read this.
Well, maybe it was timed to be there for that. All right, good. Let's see. Jessica said something that I thought was funny. Let me pull it up here. Oh man, I lost the chat when I maximized your video. Do you have the chat in front of you, Doug?
Yes. My 3-year-old just ran and asked, "Is that Matt and Doug? You're officially super famous." All right.
I think Jessica's the one who puts it up on the TV screen. And the picture. That might not be her. Maybe someone else.
Hi, 3-year-old.
Yes. Hello, 3-year-old.
Kate Rivercat says, I was supposed to go to the Alaska. I was supposed to go the Alaska next month, to Alaska on Norwegian, and they have a vegan brunch options. That's cool.
Yeah, I actually think I was surprised to see that article, because I kind of thought that the vegan food on cruise ship problem was solved. That like 15 years ago or 10 years ago, you couldn't go on a cruise basically if you wanted to eat vegan without very special arrangements. But I thought like now all the ships had always a vegan option you could get at dinner, and even a different option each night. So I don't know what the big deal is about a new menu, but who knows?
Over on Instagram, Nutrition tips for you says what foods would you recommend for my heart muscle?
Okay. I don't know if that's just like a funny way of phrasing it, calling it the heart muscle, or if it's to strengthen the muscle, and that's why they're emphasizing that. I have no idea. What foods to eat for heart disease? I don't know. I'd stay away from saturated fat and coconut oil, not because it's necessarily bad for everyone, but the American Heart Association believes that it is, and in my experience, it definitely does raise cholesterol. I don't know. I mean, and that's so if you eat a plant-based diet, you mostly get away from those saturated fats. I don't know, Doug. Any thoughts there?
Nope, nothing more than that.
Obviously, you can go much deeper on that. Lots of doctors. Go see Dr. Joel Kahn. He's a good cardiologist.
Yeah, go to Compliments interview with Dr. Kahn from Plantapalooza in May of last year. We talked a lot about heart health and that.
There you go. Rubicon. We should make a special promotion. It's like the Rubicon, and it's Rubicon. KHN. I don't know what it would mean, what would be the joke there, but we could do it. Okay, let's get to our longer form articles today. We got 2 of them. I don't know if we'll get to both. We probably will. Am I the a-hole? We like these. Last time we did one, someone on YouTube needs to be shouted out here or called out. They said, you guys are always doing these YouTube stories that are like years old. There must be no content to talk about. And I don't have that person's name in front of me. I have no idea if they're years old. This one I don't think is, because YouTube, or the screenshot from the Reddit page says 12 hours ago that it was made. So I don't think this is years old. That one that we did that other time when they called that out, maybe it was. I don't know. It was in the recent news, and that's what I look. And yes, there probably was nothing to talk about. That's why usually these make it in, because there's not other stuff going on. And that happens when you do a show that is daily or nearly daily. There's not always stuff. So sometimes you find what's good. Anyway, here's a new one. Daily Mail is the one who I found this published by. I'm gonna skip their analysis, so that some of their comments they posted are interesting. AITA, that's the acronym for giving my son non-vegan food behind my wife's back. I guess I'll go ahead and read it quickly. I'm 32. My wife is 33. We've been married for 8 years, and we have a 12-year-old son together. About 6 years ago, my wife decided to go vegan. She was sent the documentary Dominion by a vegan friend of hers, and ever since has said non-vegan food is revolting and refuses to eat it. Doug, have you heard of Dominion?
I have not. Have you?
I haven't either. No, I've heard of King's Dominion. I don't know Dominion, though. After a long conversation, I agreed to go vegetarian and be vegan in the house and around her, but she was happy with it. That's a very, what's the word here, Doug? A husband who's willing to sort of bend over backwards. I mean, that's a flexible person to do this. She also decided our son should be vegan, which after seeing a dietitian, I also agreed with. Things had been fine with this arrangement until a few months ago when I began finding wrappers from non-vegan candy and even burgers from McDonald's in my son's school bag, which he'd been buying with chore money. I had a conversation with my son, and he confessed he felt lonely and excluded eating vegan around his friends, and that they always had much better candy than he did, and it wasn't fair. I decided I didn't want him spending his pocket money on snacks and throwing out the vegan snacks we actually bought him instead of buying games, etc. It made no sense. But I also know the way my wife feels about non-vegan products. So I began buying my son what he wanted on our way to football practice instead. Long story short, my wife recently found out what has been going on and completely flipped out. She called me an animal abuse enabler and a few other names and said I was corrupting our son. Now she's not speaking to me. Our son panicked and told her I'd bought the snacks for him and he didn't know they weren't vegan. I don't blame him for that. He just doesn't want to be in trouble with mom. So the kid threw the dad under the bus. AITA here.
That's pretty funny.
I feel like everyone walks over this husband pretty he seems, although I said he was flexible, he may be spineless. I'm not sure, because I mean, until the end I thought he was just a good person. Now that the kid's comfortable just blaming him under the bus. Yeah. Then I don't know about his history of standing up for what he believes. But anyway, okay, so who's at fault here, Doug? And is he the a-hole?
Oh, man. Okay. No, he's not the a-hole. He might be a wimp, but he's not the a-hole. Look, the son is 12. He can make his own decisions, or he's at least like be a part of the conversation around food decisions, right? Obviously, you need to continue parenting him and guiding him and so forth and so on. But he's 12. Like, he's going to be at friends' houses and having, it's not like he's going to come over with a lunchbox every time, like when they're 6 or something like that. So this should have definitely be a conversation between the parents and the kid, making decisions around food choices and what's healthy for the kid and whatever. Maybe he can be vegan in the house, but out of the house he can do what he wants. Or there's so many options here. The mom getting mad at everyone. I mean, I guess I would get mad if it was like sneaking behind my back and getting left out of that conversation.
Yeah.
Like I get being mad at that, but like, no, if he wants to eat non-vegan snacks, he should be able to eat non-vegan snacks, in my opinion.
Right. Yes, I think so too. As far as the parenting side goes, to me, once the kid's 12.
Well, okay. You give your opinion, and then I got a question because I'm now actually questioning something that I just said.
Okay. I mostly blame this dad for the whole situation.
Oh, really? Okay.
But I don't know. We have a very small amount of the story here. But I don't hear anything about if this was a problem, like any consultation with the wife. We don't know for sure that she wouldn't have been reasonable had the dad and the kid
right had they had the conversation. Sure.
Right. So I see nothing she did wrong. She said, I want to be vegan and I'd like for you to be vegan and our son, like I want these things to happen. He did say she also decided our son should be vegan, but then after seeing a dietitian, the dad also agreed. So I see no resistance to the wife's veganism. So if there's no one raising an objection here, then we can't just suddenly start doing something different than was sort of the agreed upon thing without ever talking to the mom. Now, if I had to guess, I'd guess that she pushed a little bit harder than that, and maybe there was no negotiating with her.
Yeah.
If that was the case, then
they had to be sneaky,
right? But I don't see anywhere in here that anyone ever consulted the mom or that even told the mom that they didn't love the arrangement. So I'm based on this information, I am blaming the dad.
You're blaming the dad. I like it. So I got a question, but first I got to give a shout out to Zoe over on Twitch. Asks, is this a true crime podcast only with vegan crimes? And and I think that's a brilliant idea that we should totally launch if we can find enough crimes.
Yeah, Zoe's vegan. She said a couple times that she's vegan, so that's cool. Zoe the Banshee.
Okay, so I think that I'm now questioning. All right, so if you were, what I said was he's 12, he can eat non-vegan foods if he wants. He's old enough to make that decision. But what if you're paying for it? At this point, the father's now using the money to pay for it. If mom has convictions around animal cruelty and doesn't want to spend any money on products that are, that have animal products in it.
Yeah.
No, maybe him using his own money is the right choice.
Yeah, perhaps. Like, I mean, for you and me, Doug, like we think if your kid is 12, they should be allowed to make their own decisions. But that's not a lot of people's parenting philosophy. A lot of people will say, well, you're living under my roof, you're following my rules, and these are what they are. So yeah, that may be the rule there. And in that case, you're right. Another reason why, if that was what the family decided, and the kid, well, I guess I don't know whether or not the kid should have a say in it. I'm not sure. It just depends on your parenting philosophy, as I said. But between the husband and the wife, I don't know. I just feel like there's not the communication that there needs to be here.
No, definitely not. And the kid, like I think that should be a conversation they're all having together and working out a solution.
I do too. I just think that's maybe less universally agreed upon than the fact that the husband and wife probably should be communicating here. Whereas the kid thing, some people just say we're going to tell the kid what to do, and I don't agree with that, but I think a lot of people think that's the way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Steven said we were both laughing. It sounded like from experience. The only experience my daughter just recently, as I've been saying, has been complaining about snacks. I had this pretzel tirade where I took away the pretzels. I really didn't do that. I just have over the months have been saying, let's stop eating the pretzels. No more pretzels. And finally brought in Doritos last week, which was a big hit. And one of the bags,
I laughed about that for a good hour and a half the other day.
Well, the first bag got quickly eaten up, and I had to say, second bag doesn't get open until next week. And now it is next week, and I noticed yesterday that it was open already. So they've gotten to it. But anyway, I don't know. I've not felt any downside, I mean, of course, there are little sacrifices you make, but so far with the kids, there's never been a complaint like, hey, I don't have as good food as everyone else. But now that we have taken away the vegan unhealthy snacks in some capacity, it's not like we've taken them all away. But now that I guess she's more limited,
only
she has
beans for you, slow carbs only.
She has complained a little bit about that, so I do understand, and yeah, my response would be totally different. I mean, I don't think I'd be married to the mom if she was what I think, but like I said, based on the words here, I don't hear anyone objecting, so can't really blame her. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, if this for me, of course, and my daughter came to me and said, hey, I really want to have these non-vegan snacks, and I'm spending my own money on them, I would probably say you don't have to have this. If you don't want to be vegan, you don't have to. We'll
right.
We'll just make you your own stuff, or maybe I'd say you have to make your own food or something, or I'm not going to go out of my way to make you non-vegan food, but we can buy you non-vegan snacks. It'd be okay. Now I'd talk to her about it and hope she stayed vegan, but that's where I land on them.
Or let you, give you lunch buddy to, we're not gonna cook it at the house, but if at school you want to use it, that's fine.
Yeah, still going to be supportive parents, even though you've decided not to be vegan. We're still going to do the things parents would do around your diet.
Yeah. All right. Let's run through a couple more responses here. Let's see. Jessica Goodenough says she thinks that Dominion is the Australian Earthlings.
Okay. Good. So I was laughing at something else, but
Mr. Jeffrey says I think he's the a-hole for not telling her, but for not doing what he did. So the communication part. Plus, it sounds like
and I agree with it. It's right. Yeah. It's not that he gave non-vegan food. I think, like I said, I would probably do that if the kid really didn't want to be vegan. Mm-hmm. But of course, I would communicate that to the parents. I agree with you there, Mr. Jeffrey.
And Rivercat Kate says sneaking around isn't great. The sneaking around seems to really be the thing that people are most upset about. Man, there's a lot of comments here. I'm going to take it forward with you.
I don't think we need to get to the other article, which is not that great. What I was laughing about was Steven said, I meant being thrown under the bus by your kid. That was pretty funny. I don't know if that's happened to me. I'm sure it's happened. It wasn't so much thrown under the bus. I'm sure something has been revealed by the kid that it maybe wasn't intended to get out. I mean, who knows? What candy we had and vegan, but what junk food we ate or whatever when mom was away. And maybe the kid said something that I just would have not bothered to ever bring it up. But it's not like I've had experience where the kid is in trouble and then they say, well, daddy did this.
Yeah.
I don't think, especially not at age 12. It's like a
yeah. Oh man, my kids can't keep a secret for the life of them or whatever the expression is. They can't keep a secret at all. It's hilarious. I will have a conversation, be like, okay, this is a secret. And the second mom gets home, it's out the window.
All right. Zoe's got a lot of comments. I like this, Zoe, the branch. This is the most Twitch engagement we've had, probably. First of all, she says, guy on the left looks like James Corden, and the guy on the right looks like Giovanni Ribisi. I've heard that before. Someone else once told me that at a party, and I never saw it.
Huh. I don't think I would be James Corden.
I'd be Giovanni Ribisi.
Do you?
No. Maybe similar hair and beard, but I wouldn't. I don't know. I never thought that before. And then she says, Steven looks cute. I like that. He's not on the market though right now. He's got a girlfriend. If he'd been here a year ago, I think he didn't. She says, yeah, kids are total a-holes. I agree. So she agrees the guy's the a-hole. And she's vegan. So a lot of vegans are going to side against the dad giving non-vegan food, of course. All right, then there's some pretzel talk here. Mr. Jeffrey says, what if your kids felt lonely because they couldn't have pretzels? Would you be mad if Aaron bought them behind your back?
That's a good question.
Right. And yeah, I'd be mad about that. I think there should be discussion, like we've been saying. I wouldn't be mad that they got the pretzels if that was, we just all had the conversation. And look, that's what happened. And I bought Doritos, right? So I'm obviously willing to compromise here. But our family, we talked about that. Should we secretly send pretzels to Matt's address? Jessica says.
To the address to the kids. So, yeah.
Carmen says, for the kids, it's totally the social aspect. I can't see my kids saying they don't want to be vegan at home. Yeah, that's a really good point. I can't either. If my kids ever were to come and say, hey, I don't want to be vegan anymore, I'm sure I could convince them to say, just be vegan at home, and then when you're out with friends or whatever, do what you want. So there you go.
Or not even be vegan, but like we are vegan at home, you know, or like the food we cook here is vegan.
Yeah. That would be a good way to do it. If it ever comes to that, that's the compromise I'm going to try to strike, I think. Whereas so that way the kid doesn't have to cook food at home. They just need to eat the vegan food at home.
Yeah.
Okay.
Steven, I don't know if our Twitcher, I don't know if Zoe can see Steven's comment here, but he says thank you. Yeah,
Zoe, if you, well, no, you can stay on Twitch. Yeah, I didn't think about that. They don't see all. I kind of figured everyone on all the platforms saw all the comments.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, you're right. So. Well, Zoe, if you ever want to go to YouTube, it's youtube.com/No Meat Athlete, and that's where you'll see all the comments. Well, you see a lot of the comments. You won't see. Can we give people a link to the restream and they would see everything? Must be able to do that.
Maybe. I don't know.
I doubt anyone would use it, but anyway. Doug, this reminds me of something. Well, Jessica reminded me of something by saying something about Doug buying earrings a year ago. I don't remember that. Or a long
that was
time ago.
When, yeah, that was probably Mother's Day. This past Mother's Day.
Right. And the secret not being kept?
Secret, I mean, just like within seconds of Mom coming home.
Oh, yeah. Right. No, you just can't tell kids those kind of gift secrets. No. I mean, they're yeah. Even when they try to keep it, they can't. I woke up this morning thinking about something that October was coming, and I swear we had something that you committed to like by October 1st. You said, hold me to this thing.
I don't think that happened. Nope.
What was the thing? Do you know what it was?
Yeah, no, there was nothing that I committed to.
Was it pull-ups or was it?
Yeah, I was going to do pull-ups on air.
Oh yeah.
And I was practicing it today because that has honestly lingered over me a lot. Every time I'm doing pull-ups now, I'm like, oh my God, I got to do this on air. I got to do this on air, and it's stressing me out.
Well, so you're not going to do it now? What was the promise? You were just going to do them? It wasn't a number of them, or
I was just going to show my progress, do them on air.
Okay. All right. Are you still going to do that?
I mean, I don't know if it was the first.
No, I think it was in October, maybe.
Yeah.
All right. So sometime in October.
I'll do it. Yeah. Sometime in October.
Okay.
I will mushroom up and do my pull-ups.
I think it's actually National Mushroom Month per Dr. Joel Furman. So that my mom sent me a while ago. And,
now it is, or
yeah, I think this month. Year of the mushrooms and month of the mushrooms. So this is prime time mushroom. By the way, I did saute some mushrooms and put those with the cacio pepe that I made, making it not really true cacio pepe because it wasn't just those three things, but it was in the Bon Appetit recipe. They weren't needed though. But if you make that recipe, you can do it without them, and I think they'd be better. Just simplicity. Few toppings. Okay. Well, that's enough. We're not going to get to the other article, and probably never will. It wasn't really very good. So we'll just let that go.
It was an interesting article. We'll post it. Why don't we post it in the Discord, which, by the way, has been very active. And I apologize, I have not been in there much at all recently.
Yeah, I started going just before the show this morning, and I was like, wow, I forgot Discord existed. I forgot the whole site existed, not just ours, but like the whole thing. And
too busy thinking about the Roman Empire.
Yeah, I guess so. So anyway, I'll try to get in there too. It definitely is good for show content. We always pull things from there, so I'll try to get back in there. And yes, we can share this article there. Maybe at some point it'll come up. It was a Thanksgiving kind of mentioned. But it was about a kid going vegan, and a mom saying, "What am I going to do at Thanksgiving time?" So maybe we'll do that one another time. All right, that's it. Thanks everyone for attending and listening. If you're on the podcast, we'll be back Wednesday, tomorrow, and that's all. So
are you going to post this today, Matt?
I don't know. Recently, I've been the next morning. I know. And it's better, but
Bianca's not a fan. Bianca's not a fan.
Oh, no?
Nope.
Weather Runner says, what's the link to the Discord? It's discord.com/No Meat Athlete. I put that up on the
nomeatathlete.com/Discord. Is it discord.com/?
You're right. No, that's totally wrong.
Yeah.
Don't do what I said. nomeatathlete.com/Discord. Okay. That's your Discord link. more good audience comments come in, but we gotta move on. Okay. Was there something else, Doug, you said?
Just Bianca.
Oh yeah, she doesn't like it. Right. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to get up today and get back on that schedule.
All right. Thanks everyone. We'll see you tomorrow. Good Tuesday show.
Yeah, it was